The purpose of this instructional video is to act as a resource and assist laser users from initial design to finished product in a quick and efficient manner while providing solutions to existing challenges and limitations. Today, wood inlay and marquetry products are highly sought after by modern consumers. This opens up a great opportunity for laser owners to tap into this lucrative market. But why are only a small percentage of craftsmen using lasers to produce marquetry and inlay products? Current conventional approach is not geared to design, produce, and reproduce high-quality products at a fast, efficient, and precise manner. Most wood inlay products produced with lasers utilize common, plain-looking veneers because they are easy to design and cut, and a cut anywhere on a plain sheet of veneer will yield the same visual result. However, these designs are not as attractive as designs which utilize the natural beauty of exotic woods in combination with common wood species. Where to cut becomes a guessing game. This trial and error process is time-consuming and costly. Image Paint is an Adobe Illustrator plugin designed to allow users to paint shapes with JPEG images. These JPEG images are digital scanned images of the real wood veneers in our inventory. Image Paint is the only software that can take these JPEG images and organize them as image swatch libraries, similar to the way Illustrator color swatch libraries are organized. Using Image Paint, shapes can be painted with images from an image library by simply selecting the shapes and clicking on the image swatch. It also gives users the ability to move and rotate shapes on a wood image and instantly preview the results on the design. This allows the coordination of the wood colors, grains, and figures accurately before the pieces are cut. And this is true even if we cut on the opposite sides of the veneer, which is required to achieve perfect fit. For laser owners working with marquetry and inlays, Image Paint Production Pro has all the features in Image Paint Design Pro, with additional functions to transform a finished design into tool paths that are optimized for cutting with a laser machine. As a result, each and every cut will fit together perfectly to produce the highest quality product in the shortest amount of time. Our product allows users to see the end product before creating it. The finished design, completely filled with different wood species, can be exported as a JPEG file, which can then be used as a simulation of the final product to acquire a customer's approval before building the product. This helps with product price negotiation and assures customer satisfaction. With its real-time interactive preview mode, you can create unique artwork made of wood, marble, mother of pearl, or any other textures, all at the same speed as designing with ordinary colors. In this video, you will learn how to install and configure Image Paint, retrofit and calibrate the Epilog Mini 18 laser for use with Image Paint, verify the design integrity, apply images to shape, create toolpaths from a finished design, update images, estimate the cost of the product, and assembly. This image shows how the Epilog Mini 18 was retrofitted to prevent small cut pieces from being sucked through its exhaust opening. The two openings were covered up with window screen purchased at Home Depot store. These are the basic tools you will need to acquire to do laser marquetry: tweezers, knife, roller, a flatbed scanner to scan the veneer into a computer, a veneer cutter such as this one, PVA glue or CA glue, a few clamps, 2 wooden blocks, newspaper and parchment paper, sandpapers and electric sander, wood fillers, masking tape and scotch tapes, spray can finish products such as these. After you have downloaded Image Paint Production Pro from www.amazoncanvas.com and unzipped it, these are the files contained in the download. To install Image Paint, double-click an MSI setup file that corresponds to your installed version of Adobe Illustrator. Once the installation is completed, right-click the file tropicalfishes.ai to open it. Here, the top image is the vector design, and the bottom image is the JPEG image of a completed design. We will use it as a guide to paint the vector design with the wood images in the image palette. Let's open the image palette. The palette is similar to the color palette, except it will contain wood images. Next, we assign an image working folder. Create a new folder. Give it a name. ImagePaint will use this folder to store and manage our wood images. Now we open the wood images folder in the download folder. Select the scan images and drag them to Adobe Illustrator. To add these images, with the images still selected, click on the Add Selected Images button. As seen here, ImagePaint has created 6 subfolders, with 4 folders to contain the 4 images we just added. ImagePaint creates and names the image subfolder by taking the image name and removing everything after and including the last dash sign, if any. An empty folder called Image Libs, which we will get into later, and a folder called Icons to store the image icons, where each icon represents all images in one of the 4 said folders. These image icons are the same icons we have seen in the image palette earlier. Before scanning a sheet of veneer, we'll label it at its top left corner on its positive side. The label can be anything we wish to use to differentiate one wood species from another, but the label must end with a dash sign followed by a unique number to differentiate the different sheets from the same wood species. After scanning a sheet of veneer, we use the same label to name the JPEG image. Now we can add the image to the appropriate folder that ImagePaint has created. This new image is now ready for use inside Adobe Illustrator. In this step, locate the wood print that came with your purchase, the one that has the red cross shape printed on it. We will use this sheet to perform a few test runs with the laser and obtain the necessary parameters used by ImagePaint's production interface to assure the pieces are cut accurately with respect to their location in the design file. To achieve this, we need a way to place a sheet of veneer on the laser working area accurately and repeatedly at the same exact location. One technique used to achieve this is to insert 2 thin stoppers at the top side of the honeycomb tray and 2 at its left side. Push the veneer forward and toward the left against the stoppers and then lower the rulers. Use a pen and draw one line against the edge of each ruler. Use a ruler and measure the material Y offset and the material X offset. Now, open the laser setting panel and enter the values we just measured. Also make sure to enter the negative sign in front of the material X value and then press the Save button. A positive Y offset we entered means the top edge of the veneer sheet is outside and above the working area. A negative X offset we entered means the left edge of the veneer sheet is outside and to the left working area. Open the laser palette and make the laser name calibration visible to reveal the shape of a cross. Select it and paint it with the image that corresponds to the sheet of veneer we have placed in the laser earlier. ImagePaint just placed an image to the left. This image is called the Clipper image. Move the newly created cross to coincide with the red cross on the Clipper image. Select the Clipper image. Select the menu item Windows ImagePaint Production Print Setup. To have ImagePaint create a new artboard equal to the laser working area we have specified in the laser setting palette, on this artboard, ImagePaint just placed the same image at the X and Y offsets we have specified earlier in the laser setting panel. This image is called the cutter image. Select and hide it before sending the tool paths, in this case our cross shape, to the laser. Here we don't cut with the laser but instead we use the red dot pointer to verify if the material X and Y offset values we have entered in the previous steps are accurate enough. As seen here, the material X offset is still a bit off. We need to increase its value in the negative direction, so let's set it to a minus 0.14 inch. We now delete the old cross to prepare for the next test run. Creating a new cross on our production artboard. Sending the cross to the laser. It is important to note that this calibration is required only once for this laser. Great! The new value we entered did the trick. The red dot pointer now traces exactly on the cross. Before painting the shapes with images, we now instruct Image Paint to validate the design and report any potential problems it sees. Image Paint had detected some tiny and erroneous shapes that require our attention. To select these shapes, we click on the checkbox named Tiny Area in the Verification palette. Now, deselect the shapes we want to keep and deselect the remaining erroneous shapes. We are now ready to paint the shapes with images. Select the Magic Wand tool and click on a shape to select all master shapes with the same color, and then click on an image swatch to paint them. Image Paint had just created duplicates of the master shapes and placed them on the Clipper image. These shapes are called Clipper shapes. For this design, we want to reposition the Clipper shapes to match the relative position of the master shapes, because we want the wood figure to flow continuously across the fish. To do this, select the Clipper shapes with the Image Paint's Image Picker tool. Hold down the alternative key and then click on the Clipper image. Next, we select the Rotate tool. Hold down the Control key and click-drag the Clipper shapes to move them. Release the Control key and click-drag to rotate them. In Illustrator, the Control key is used to temporarily switch any active tool to the Selection tool. This is why we were able to select and move the shapes while using the Rotate tool with the Control key held down. As seen here in the Layer palette, every time we paint shapes with an image, Image Paint creates a new layer to contain the Clipper image and the associated Clipper shapes. Note, Image Paint assigned this layer name to be the same as the image name. We use the same procedure to paint other shapes with their respective image. When we click on a painted master shape, the respective Clipper image is revealed and the corresponding Clipper shape is highlighted. This is useful when we want to select the corresponding Clipper shapes to reposition them on the Clipper image. We can also reveal the Clipper image by double-clicking on an image swatch. Now let's assume that we have another wood image scanned into our computer, and we want to use it to replace the current background of our design. We simply select the new image that has been renamed to match the folder's name, drag it to that folder. Come back to Illustrator and select Menu Item, Browse and Place Image to bring the image into Illustrator. To add it to our image palette, click on the Added Selected Image button. Now select the Clipper image we want to replace and click on the newly added image swatch. This feature allows us to quickly replace one image with another image. To select all Clipper shapes on the Clipper image, hold down the number 3 key and click on the clipper image. To delete an unused image, select its image swatch and click on the Delete Selected Image button located at the bottom of the image palette. The design is finished. We now instruct Image Paint to create tool paths to be sent to our laser machine for cutting. To do this, double-click on the image swatch to reveal the clipper image. Select the clipper image and then choose the menu item Windows Image Paint Production Complete Print Setup. If not already created, Image Paint will create an artboard equal to the size of our machine's working area we specified in the laser setting panel. This artboard will be referred to as the production art board. The new shapes Image Paint just created on the production artboard are called the cutter shapes. Image Paint at this point have resized all the cutter shapes according to our cutter path offset specifications that we have entered in the laser setting palette. Image Paint has also mirrored the cutter shapes and rounded any sharp corners it saw in our design. All these cutter shapes manipulations were done behind the scene to achieve perfect cuts and perfect fit and when they are later assembled. Before placing the veneer sheet on the laser bed, we flipped it over and slide the sheet toward and against the 4 stoppers with the veneers label positioned at the top left corner of the honeycomb tray. The laser is now cutting out the shapes on the negative side of the veneer. This will ensure that the dark, burnt edges around each piece will be hidden when viewed from the positive side of the finished product. To cut the rest of the remaining veneer sheet, we just repeat the same procedures. Note that each wood species requires a different laser power setting. We don't want to overcut the veneer, which will give rise to less than perfect fit when assembled. Furthermore, overcut causes unnecessary increase in burnt marks around the edges that can be visually distracting. The laser speed for all wood species, however, can be a fixed value and the recommended setting is 25%. This speed will achieve smooth cut in sharp and tight corners. After all sheets have been cut, the next step is to have Image Paint update the used images to contain the cutouts so we don't have to rescan it again. This feature gives us the ability to accurately avoid the cutout areas where we reuse the image. To do this, unhide the cutter image and select both the cutter image and the cutter shapes. Choose menu item, Windows Image Paint Production, Update Cutter Image, to have Image Paint fill the clipper shapes with black color and save the results to a temporary folder. After saving the updated image, Image Paint will delete it from our computer screen. Repeat the same image updating procedures with other sheets. In Windows Explorer, we see that Image Paint has created a new folder named Temp Do Not Modify inside our Wood Inventory folder and stored the updated images inside it. Note that the Image Paint at this point did not replace our original images with the new images. It will only replace them after we have quit Adobe Illustrator. So if we don't want Image Paint to replace our original image with the ones in the Temp folder, simply delete everything inside the Temp before we quit Adobe Illustrator. If we were to quit Adobe Illustrator and then reopen our design, this is what we will see. The master shapes in our design are all filled with black images. To repaint the master shapes, simply hold down the number 3 key, click on the clipper image to select all clipper shapes, and then move them into a different location. In this step, we will excavate the lid to the depth of the veneer thickness using the laser raster mode. When laser rastering wood material, the wood surface should have been coated with a protective finish to avoid black tar buildup in the wood pores. Select the clipper image used for the background of the artwork and select Menu Item Print Setup. Delete the cutter image. Select only the rectangular shape and delete the rest. Fill the rectangular shape with black color and remove its stroke width. The reason we chose the Print Setup menu item instead of Complete Print Setup menu item is because we don't want the image paint to mirror and resize the shape when it generates the toolpath for excavation. For the Epilog Mini 18, the speed setting is 25%. The power setting is 100%, and the resolution setting is 400 dpi. These settings will excavate the lid to a depth of 1/40th of an inch or 0.025 inch, which is the thickness of common wood veneers. When estimating the cost of the product, 3 important values to be used in the equation are available in the verification palette. These are used area, master path count, and total cut length. Used area is the total material area used in the design in inch square. Master path count is the total number of pieces or shapes in the design, and total cut length is the total linear cut length required to cut all pieces in the design. In this video, we cut the paper print version of the real wood veneer, but here we are assembling the real wood veneers. The tool paths we sent to the laser were optimized so the cut pieces are very easy to assemble. This artwork was assembled in less than 12 minutes. Use regular Scotch tape to tape down the pieces after a major section has been assembled. In the laser setting palette, we have set the value of the cutter path offset to 0.003 inch. This value was determined by experimenting with the laser cutting simple test shapes using a real wood veneer. Once this value is determined, it will be the same for all wood species having the same thickness and cut by the same laser. Inside the downloader folder, there's a file named cutterpathoffsettest.ai. Use this file to cut 2 pieces of real wood veneer. Assemble the cut pieces. If they don't fit, change the cutter path offset value and try again. Keep doing this until the right cutter path offset value is found, one that results in pieces that are easy to assemble but fit tightly together. Once determined, the cutter path offset value should never be changed, unless the wood veneer's thickness is very different or the laser beam diameter is different from the one used during the test. For small shapes, such as the tiny holes in the bubbles, we don't need to cut them. Instead, we can use wood filler to fill them from the backside of the artwork. When gluing the assembled pieces to the lid of the box, we recommend you use either PVA wood glue or CA thick glue. For PVA glue, it is important to use thicker glue such as the Titebond cold pressed glue to prevent the glue from bleeding throughout the open wood pores. For CA glue, choose one which requires extra time to cure, giving you more time to adjust the pieces before the glue dries. Immediately place the assembled artwork on the lid. Add a sheet of parchment paper and about 10 sheets of newspaper on top. Sandwich the lid 2 wooden blocks. Clamp them together for half an hour before removing the clamps. After the clamps are removed, remove the Scotch tape and leave it overnight before sanding. In some cases, we may not need to use the clamps if CA glue was used, but it is a good idea to always clamp the artwork down regardless of the type of glue used. Start with a 150 grit sandpaper. For sanding by hand, use a sanding block on top of the sandpaper to achieve good results. For better and faster results, use an electric sander. Sand with a 150 grit sandpaper until all different veneer pieces are leveled. Use your fingernail and run it across the joints from time to time to check for evenness. Finish sanding with a 220 grit sandpaper until the surface is smooth. Vacuum or air blow the surface clean before spraying it with a finish of your choice. Don't oversand or the joints will widen, exposing dark and distracting gaps between the adjacent pieces, such as this design. Here, after sanding, the lid is sprayed with 2 coats of lacquer. Wait 15 minutes for the first coat to dry before spraying the second coats. Please wear an air filtering mask to completely cover your nose and mouth when spraying any kind of finish. The spraying booth must be well ventilated and complied with your city code. Wait a few hours for the second coat to dry, then use a piece of brown paper bag and hand rub the surface to smooth out any tiny dust particles that might have deposited while the lacquer was still wet. More laser users are beginning to tap into this lucrative marquetry and inlay market. With Image Paint, you have an edge over your competitors. Your design will shine through with the warmth and beauty of wood never before possible. Thanks to this new technology, we now have the edge.